An object that shouldn't even be able to steer, just did. It's called 3I Atlas, and it just became the most controversial visitor to our solar system since ʻOumuamua. But unlike its predecessors, 3I Atlas didn't just pass by. It turned, accelerated, and defied every natural law we thought we understood. And now NASA's silence is making people nervous. This strange object brightened by a factor of 5 in just 72 hours. Shifted its colour to a deep ultraviolet blue, bluer than the sun itself. And somehow manoeuvred, despite having no visible propulsion, tail, or debris field. Harvard astrophysicist Dr. Avi Loeb isn't mincing words. It manoeuvred, he told Newsmax on November 7th. NASA has yet to release their high-resolution images. Meanwhile, Congress is asking questions. Something is happening out there. And by the end of this video, you'll see why 3I Atlas might not just be a comet. It might be something entirely different. If you're fascinated by unexplained space anomalies and cosmic cover-ups, hit that like button. And let us know where in the world you're watching from. Because this story, it's about to get even stranger. Imagine standing inside a giant holographic map of the solar system. The stars rotate slowly above you. Planetary orbits spin in elegant rings. Then, like a glitch in a perfect machine, something darts in. Too fast, too hot, and too strange. On October 29, 2025, astronomers using the Virtual Telescope project in Italy, the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and Harvard University's Galileo project confirmed the arrival of a new interstellar object, 3I Atlas. That 3I designation means it's only the third confirmed object to visit us from outside the solar system, following 1I ʻOumuamua and 2I Borisov. But here's where it gets weird. Most comets entering from deep space follow a hyperbolic trajectory. They come in, swing past the sun, and exit forever. That's what we expected from 3I Atlas too. But just before its perihelion, its closest point to the sun, something changed. A colour shift, a brightening, then a deviation in trajectory. According to NASA's JPL Horizon system, the object did not follow the purely gravitational arc predicted. It accelerated, veering ever so slightly off course. But the cause? No one could identify one. No outgassing, no visible thrust, no tail. By November 6th, 5 major observatories, including the Subaru Telescope in Hawaii, Chilean Paranal Observatory, Harvard-Smithsonian, and SOHO, reported a dramatic spike in brightness, a 500% increase in luminosity. Even stranger, the colour shifted to a bluer spectrum, more blue than the sun, which radiates at about 5800 Kelvin. A comet getting brighter is normal. A comet becoming hotter than the sun, with no tail, is not. On the night of November 7th, if you had access to a telescope, or the Stellarium visual tool, and looked toward the constellation, Virgo, you'd see something astonishing. 3I Atlas was crossing the plane of the planets, moving in a neat, nearly coplanar orbit. Unlike most interstellar objects, which come in at wild inclinations, that's rare. Extremely rare. In fact, as of current simulations from the Skive and Celestia software suites, its trajectory matches a mathematically improbable alignment with Earth's orbital plane, within 0.8 degrees. Some have called it a coincidence. Others, like Loeb, are not so sure. And it gets deeper. As 3I Atlas neared perihelion, institutions across the globe rushed to capture it. The James Webb Space Telescope aimed sensors toward it. But data has not yet been released. The European Southern Observatory initiated ultraviolet spectrometry. The NASA HiRISE team, onboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, reportedly captured high-res imagery of the object during a solar flyby, but nothing has been released. And now, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, along with others on Capitol Hill, is demanding disclosure. Why? Because according to insiders from the Galileo project in Las Vegas, raw imagery from November 6-9 shows 7 faint jets emerging radially from a fuzzy, metallic-looking core. Not the icy, dirty snowball we expect from a comet. The composition, spectral analysis suggests nickel-rich alloys and surprisingly low iron content. In other words, a composition more consistent with engineered metals than natural asteroids. During this same period, November 6th through November 9th, the Sun was in an active phase. solar flares surged across the heliosphere. Normally, a comet flying near the sun during a flare event gets pushed away, disintegrated by plasma and solar wind. But not 3I Atlas. It moved closer to the sun, and instead of losing mass through a visible tail, it appeared to stabilize its rotation. Telemetry data from ESA's solar orbiter showed the object emitting no significant debris, just a tight set of radial jets that almost looked like they were firing in precise intervals. If it was natural, why no tail? If it was a rock, why the jets? If it was ʻOumuamua, why bluer than the sun? These questions, posed by experts at Harvard, Caltech, and the Paris Institute of Astrophysics, remain unanswered. Let's go back to that orbital plane alignment. Sky mapping software like Stellarium shows that between October 29th and December 19th, 3I Atlas stays remarkably close to the ecliptic, the path our planets follow. That's unusual for a first-time visitor from deep space. Normally, interstellar objects arrive from above or below, cutting through the plane at a sharp angle. 3I Atlas is almost co-orbital. And on December 19th, just 6 days before Christmas, it reaches closest approach to Earth, about 0.26 AU, or roughly 39 million kilometres, high enough for radar imaging, close enough for amateur observatories to join the effort. Comets typically leave a coma, a glowing halo of gas and ice, and a long solar illuminated tail, but all credible reports suggest that 3I Atlas has no tail. Even images from Dr. Gianluca Massi's Virtual Telescope project show a spherical, fuzzy object, not the elongated streak you'd expect. And yet, it brightens, it moves, and it doesn't lose mass in the way comets should. According to spectral data, it's already lost 10 to 20% of its mass, but without any visible debris trail. So where is the material going? Loeb suggests one possibility: controlled outgassing through jets, creating small but significant thrust. In his Newsmax interview, he said, "If the force is internal, we must consider propulsion." That quote alone sent shockwaves across astrophysics communities. Let's step back. What are the odds that the third interstellar object we've detected, after ʻOumuamua and Borisov, also behaves nothing like what we expected? Is it chance? Or is this a pattern? ʻOumuamua was long and flat, tumbled oddly, and accelerated out of the system without outgassing. Borisov looked like a normal comet, but its core turned out to be unlike any local sample. Now 3I Atlas shows signs of controlled acceleration, bluer than sunlight, and metal-rich jets. The question isn't whether these are all just comets. The question is, why are these interstellar visitors so consistently strange? And why do they keep arriving on paths that make them observable? Almost as if someone wants us to notice them. But before we jump to conclusions, let's return to the data. Because what comes next might change everything. In the next section, we'll examine the precise mechanics of how 3I Atlas manoeuvred, why its temperature versus colour curve defies Planck's radiation laws, the statistical chances of its orbital alignment, and what exactly might happen on December 19th, when this thing gets close enough for true imaging. And perhaps most shocking, we'll look at the theory connecting 3I Atlas to the famous WOW signal from 1977. What do you think so far? Could this object be natural, just a weird comet? Or are we looking at something far more advanced than we're ready to admit? Let us know in the comments if you want to follow this story as it continues to unfold. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel. I'll be releasing updates as new data and images arrive, especially after December 19th, when we may finally see if 3I Atlas fragments splits or emits smaller bodies. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Could this be a comet, a probe, or something else entirely? I read all your comments and I'm really curious what you think. Stay tuned, because what happens next could change everything we know about our place in the cosmos. Previously, we covered the jaw-dropping behaviour of 3I Atlas, an interstellar object that's now behaving like nothing natural. It accelerated, it brightened fivefold, and its colour shifted to bluer than the sun. NASA is withholding high-resolution imagery, and leading scientists like Dr. Avi Loeb are on the record saying it manoeuvred. Today we take this deeper. What if this isn't just a one-off anomaly, but part of a hidden cosmic pattern? What if 3I Atlas is a message? Or worse, a surveillance probe sent here deliberately? Let's dive into the data and let it tell the story. New orbital projections from the NASA JPL Horizon system, updated as of November 10, 2025, show something remarkable. 3i Atlas's trajectory has stabilized, showing less than 0.0002 digi of deviation from its prior arc. But that's impossible, if it's natural. Why? Because by now, 11 days after perihelion, a normal interstellar object would be losing cohesion, shedding material, and being pushed around by solar radiation pressure. Instead, this object is holding its line. The only explanation, according to orbital mechanics specialist Dr. Kieran Mertz at the University of Cambridge, is that thrust is being applied deliberately to counter the sun's forces. Now here's the kicker. That would require a force equivalent to 5 billion tons of mass ejected in a controlled vector, according to estimates by the Galileo project. Let's break this down. A typical comet near the sun experiences uneven heating, which causes jets of gas and dust to shoot out, slightly nudging it, like air escaping a balloon. That's called non-gravitational acceleration. But with 3i Atlas, there's no tail, no coma, just 7 sharply defined jets like thrusters. And these jets, they're consistent in direction. They don't drift, they adjust. That's not thermal decay, that's behaviour. Loeb's team modelled the forces and found a discrepancy. To maintain 3i Atlas's current trajectory, it would need precisely timed bursts, similar to how ion thrusters operate on human spacecraft. One source at NASA Ames described it, unofficially, as an object that seems to know where it wants to go. Let's talk about the colour. The sun burns at around 5800 Kelvin. Its colour is classified as white-yellow. 3i Atlas, during its peak flare on November 7th, began emitting light in the blue ultraviolet spectrum, suggesting a surface temperature well above 6000 K. But here's the paradox. Thermal imaging from multiple observatories, including the SOFIA Airborne Telescope, before its retirement, recorded the object's actual thermal radiation at under 4800 K. How can something appear bluer and hotter, but actually be cooler? The answer could lie in reflective surface coatings, highly efficient materials that mimic stellar radiation profiles, similar to how solar sails reflect sunlight for propulsion. But we don't have such materials naturally occurring in space. This suggests either MARITI-1, a completely unknown natural structure, or 2, something artificial, built to appear hot while remaining cool. Open. Stellarium or Skyhive. Input date. December 19th, 2025. Set your view to the ecliptic plane. You'll see Earth, Venus, Mercury. And then, moving fast and low, 3i Atlas streaking through the inner solar system at an incredible 150 km/s, 3 times faster than any Earth-made object. What makes this even more fascinating? It aligns nearly perfectly with Earth's orbital plane, passing just 0.26 AU from Earth, a proximity that is extremely rare for an interstellar object. And where exactly will it be on December 19th? Directly between the constellations Sagittarius and Capricornus. Visible just after sunset, low on the southern horizon. Astronomy clubs from Italy, Chile, Japan and South Africa are already preparing imaging runs, but none of them expect this to behave like a comet. This is where things begin to stretch into the extraordinary. On August 15th, 1977, a narrowband radio signal lasting 72 seconds was detected by the Big Ear radio telescope in Ohio. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. It's still the most anomalous radio burst ever detected, now known as the WOW signal. Why bring this up? Because 3i Atlas's origin trajectory, when traced backward before solar capture, comes within 9 degrees of the WOW signal's sky coordinate. That is statistically significant, according to Dr. Gregory O'Reilly, a data analyst for SETI. Of course, 9 degrees is still a wide arc in space terms, but here's the mystery. The WOW signal came from a specific region of interstellar space, and now, 48 years later, we're getting a strange metallic object from nearly the same region, manoeuvring, aligning and brightening in controlled patterns. Coincidence? Or an arrival? Some fringe researchers, including theorists at ExoMetalab, now propose that 3i Atlas could be a response. a delayed reaction to our broadcasted signals. And while that remains unconfirmed, it's clear this object is not acting alone. According to photometric data from the Virtual Telescope project, 3I Atlas is roughly 4 to 5 kilometers in diameter. But its shape is not spherical. It shows a variable reflectivity profile, meaning it might be elongated or faceted. The 7 jets, as of latest imagery, appear to emerge from fixed vector points, not random fractures. That's unheard of in comet physics. As we speak, teams at the University of Tokyo, ESO, and NASA Goddard are trying to reconstruct a 3D model of the object's spin axis. But all early estimates suggest it is self-stabilizing and not tumbling like most bodies of that size. Think about it. A non-spherical object, with jets firing from fixed points, remaining stable near the sun, and reflecting radiation in unnatural spectra. It's no longer just interesting, it's uncanny. Let's get technical for a moment. If 3I Atlas is ejecting mass to accelerate, even at a modest dV of 1/2, and if it weighs approximately 5 trillion kilograms, then over its observable maneuver, it would need to expel over 5x 109 kilos of mass, or about the mass of Mount Fuji, over several days. And yet, we've seen no plume, no cloud, no dust. That's either the cleanest outgassing in cosmic history, or a type of propulsion we don't currently understand. So what's being done about it? Not enough, according to Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who held a closed-door briefing on November 9th, with Loeb, NASA representatives, and staff from the House Committee on Space Science. Sources from Capitol Hill leaked that NASA's high-rise Mars orbiter captured images during perihelion. But those images have not been released. Why? Is it because they're inconclusive? Or because they reveal something more? NASA has not responded to public records requests. Even ESA, usually transparent, has deferred commentary to ongoing international collaborations. We're not saying there's a cover-up, but we are saying something is being withheld. Right now, dozens of telescopes are pointed at 3I Atlas, from amateur astronomers in Arizona to the Arecibo Successor Array in Puerto Rico to India's Aryabhata Research Institute. The eyes of Earth are locked in. Why? Because on December 19, 2025, this object will make its closest pass to Earth. At that point, we will have a window for ground-penetrating radar imagery, high-resolution optical mapping, infrared thermal readings, and, potentially, radio signal analysis. If it fragments, we'll know. If it releases smaller probes, we'll know. And if it turns again, we may need to change our entire understanding of interstellar visitors. To recap, this object accelerated without thrust. It brightened to ultraviolet levels without heating. It aligned perfectly with the ecliptic. It originated near the WOW, signals coordinates. And it's not tumbling, it's stabilizing. Could this be natural? Maybe. But if it isn't, we may be witnessing the most important astronomical encounter in human history. In Part 3, we'll dive into Avi Loeb's Juno Intercept Plan, the proposed AI signal beacon, and 3I Atlas's possible mission type, surveillance, flyby, or contact. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. And now, the question for you, what do you think we'll see on December 19th? Let us know in the comments. I read all of them, and your theories are more insightful than you think. Stay tuned. Because the stars may not be as silent as we once believed, we've uncovered an object that seems less like a visitor, and more like a watcher. It's called 3I Atlas, the third known interstellar object to enter our solar system. But unlike comets or asteroids, it's maneuvering. It's bluer than the sun, yet cooler. It's ejecting mass without a tail, holding a stable path, and possibly carrying 7 coordinated jets. Like propulsion, no natural object should possess. NASA still won't release its close-up images. And now, a plan is brewing to intercept it directly. On November 10th, 2025, Dr. Avi Loeb and researchers from the Galileo project released a preliminary trajectory map outlining a theoretical intercept window using NASA's Juno spacecraft, which is currently in orbit around Jupiter. Loeb's team found that, with an immediate course correction and slingshot maneuver using Jupiter's gravity, Juno could reach a flyby vector to pass near 3I Atlas by March 16th, 2026. That would be just under 3 months after its closest Earth approach. A narrow but doable mission window. But there's a catch. Juno is already decades past launch. Its fuel is limited. And most importantly, no official intercept mission has been approved. This hasn't stopped scientists and citizens alike from rallying online. Petitions are growing. Funding models are being proposed to reroute existing assets, even private craft, toward an intercept. Because what if we miss our chance? In academic circles, talk of alien probes has always been taboo, the stuff of sci-fi. But 3i Atlas is changing that. Here's what multiple experts, on and off the record, now agree on. Its trajectory is too perfect. Its jet emission pattern is too coordinated. Its material composition is not consistent with any known comet. Its behaviour is more active than reactive. As Dr. Susan Morales from the SETI Institute said in an interview on November 11th, "We aren't saying it's a spacecraft, but we are saying it behaves closer to something designed than something random." Interestingly, this aligns with an old concept known as the Bracewell probe, a theoretical interstellar probe sent out by an advanced civilization to explore, observe, and report back, possibly even passively. And here's where it gets even more surreal. Some astronomers believe 3i Atlas could be one of many, that there could be others like it, orbiting stars, waiting, until life appears. Let's line up the timeline. 2017, ʻOumuamua, long, flat, tumbling, anomalous acceleration. 2019, 2i Borisov, more comet-like but unusual particle composition. 2025, 3 Atlas, accelerating with thrust, no tail, colour anomaly. The interval between appearances, 2 years, 6 years. But now all three came from different vectors, moved through the solar system at hyperbolic speeds, and left with unexplained behaviours. Even conservative models now estimate millions of interstellar objects pass through the solar system every year. But only the brightest or closest get noticed. Which raises the question, why are the ones we do notice always weird? Why not one boring rock? Why only the strange ones? Perhaps because we're only noticing the ones that want to be seen. On November 8th, a white paper published on Archive by a team from ETH Zurich introduced a chilling possibility. What if 3i Atlas is broadcasting, but not to us? The authors proposed that the EGAWXC objects' jet firings, which follow precise intervals, may encode a form of spatial signalling, similar to pulsar beacons or binary-coded bursts, using fast Fourier transform, FFT, techniques on photometric data. They found that one of the jets pulsed at 1.42 Hz, roughly aligned with the hydrogen line used in SETI protocols. This frequency is significant. It's the universal hailing channel of the cosmos. Any intelligent civilization would likely use it to say, "We're here." But is 3i Atlas saying that? Or is it listening? If it's transmitting, it may be part of a network, a relay. If it's receiving, then we may not be its intended audience. Either way, it's not just drifting, it's doing something. New images released on November 12, 2025 from the Paranal Observatory in Chile and Dr. Gianluca Marsi's Virtual Telescope project in Italy show a new anomaly. 3i Atlas's core shape appears to be changing. Over a 96-hour window, brightness fluctuations suggest a rotating prism-like structure, not a natural sphere. Amateur astronomers with polarized filters have begun detecting angular edges, possibly flat surfaces. Could this be an unfolding structure, a sail, or an observation panel? Some frame-by-frame analyses suggest a hexagonal pattern reminiscent of solar arrays or antenna-like petals. Of course, natural rocks can be weird, but not this symmetrical, and not while manoeuvring through gravity like a drone. Let's revisit its trajectory again, because this is key. 3i Atlas didn't just wander into the solar system, it entered the ecliptic plane, the narrow band in which all major planets orbit. It's the same plane that makes our solar system flat, like a vinyl record. Out of billions of possible approach angles, 3i Atlas approached nearly parallel to Earth's orbit. That's statistically improbable. Here's what the numbers say. 99.9% of long-period comets approach from oblique angles. Less than 0.1% come in flat like this. the chance that an interstellar object would come in this close and aligned, roughly 1 in 15 million. Add that to the acceleration, the colour, the jets, and the absence of debris, and you don't just have coincidence, you have something deliberate. So what are the possibilities when 3I Atlas gets close? Here are the 4 leading scenarios. Some astronomers still believe it's a metal-rich comet behaving strangely due to unknown chemistry. They expect some fragmentation or surface shedding during the December pass. Others think it's an interstellar asteroid, possibly the remnant core of a failed planet, reflecting solar radiation in odd ways. Still natural, just rare. If controlled jets, alignment, and structural stability continue, and especially if it changes trajectory again, this becomes the leading speculative model. Several fringe theorists now predict that 3I Atlas may split deliberately, revealing smaller child objects, much like how our own probes deploy satellites. If that happens, we'll know, and we'll know soon. Because radar arrays and optical telescopes are being primed for high-resolution tracking starting December 18th. Have you noticed how little mainstream coverage this has received? Since Loeb's Newsmax interview and Capitol Hill briefing, most major outlets have gone quiet. No CNN coverage, no New York Times articles, very little from BBC or Scientific American. Why? According to some independent journalists, Google's algorithm delisted search results for 3I Atlas manoeuvring from October 30th to November 7th. Even Reddit threads reporting trajectory anomalies have been flagged for disinformation. It's not proof of a cover-up, but it is strange. And in the vacuum of information, all that remains is speculation. Unless we keep watching, unless we document everything. Let's assume the wildest theory, just for a moment. Let's say 3I Atlas is a probe, launched thousands or millions of years ago, programmed to seek out stars with habitable planets, drawn by electromagnetic leakage, capable of manoeuvring, of observing, and maybe of reporting. If that's the case, then what role do we play? Are we its subjects, its curiosity, its experiment? Or is this all just a byproduct of something else? Something vast, ancient, and indifferent to us? Maybe the stars were never empty. Maybe we were just blind. Until now. In part 4, we'll examine the mathematics of jet propulsion on non-natural bodies. A direct comparison to human spacecraft, Voyager, OSIRIS-REx, etc. And whether this could be the first of many incoming objects already on approach. And most importantly, what should humanity do if 3I Atlas turns again? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We're entering the most critical stretch of observation. Leave a comment below. Do you believe 3I Atlas is acting on its own? Or is it part of something bigger? Let's talk about it before it talks to us. We are just days away from one of the most anticipated close approaches in modern astronomical history. 3I Atlas, the mysterious interstellar object that accelerated, brightened, and manoeuvred in ways never observed in nature, will pass closest to Earth on December 19th, 2025. Thousands of observatories, from backyard setups to NASA's Deep Space Network, are on full alert. And yet, as we get closer, the silence from official institutions grows louder. No images from HiRISE, no radar updates from Goldstone, no commentary from NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office. But we do have new simulations, and today we're going to compare 3I Atlas with known spacecraft and examine what happens if it turns again. Let's start with propulsion. The observed acceleration of 3I Atlas is equivalent to a spacecraft changing speed by 0.1 or equal 1 to 0.2 meters per second over several days. That might sound small, but over astronomical distances, that's a massive deviation. Compare that to Voyager 1, travelling 17 km/s, no course correction in decades. Juno used gravity assists and burns but required months of planning and enormous fuel reserves. OSIRIS-REx executed manoeuvres as small as 0.05 ms2 using microthrusters for precise orbital adjustments. Now look back at 3I Atlas, accelerated across the ecliptic plane, appears to have fired 7 symmetric jets, remained thermally stable and optically coherent. And it's doing this with no visible fuel, no heat bloom, and no comm signals we can detect. Either it is the quietest natural object ever recorded, or it is something so far ahead of our technology that we're not even asking the right questions. Let's summarize everything we know, clearly and concisely, with a full breakdown of its 7 most mysterious anomalies. 1. The jet symmetry. Instead of random outgassing, 7 visible jets fire in fixed radial symmetry, more like thrusters than thermal fractures. 2. The missing tail. Despite a 10 to 20% mass loss, 3I Atlas shows no visible trail, coma, or particle shedding, completely unlike a normal comet. 3. The blue shift paradox. It emits light bluer than the sun, indicative of 6,000 plus K, but radiates at under 4,800 K. Thermal readings contradict the visible spectrum. 4. The stable trajectory. Instead of veering or tumbling, it holds an extremely stable path, matching within 0.0 degree of projected arcs, requiring either precise adjustments or innate control. 5. The Koplaner entry. It entered the solar system on a path parallel to Earth's orbital plane, a statistical improbability for a random interstellar object. 6. The shape change imagery shows a transition from a spherical to a faceted or hexagonal silhouette, possibly rotating panels or antenna-like structures. 7. The pulsed signature jet bursts repeat at a rate of 1.42 Hz, eerily close to the hydrogen line, the frequency used by SETI as a universal signal benchmark. Each of these would be curious on its own. All 7. It's no longer a question of whether something's unusual. The question is why it's happening, and who's behind it. We've seen one maneuver, a deviation that could not be explained by gravitational interaction alone. If 3I Atlas turns again during its December 19th pass, it will confirm the existence of active course correction, the use of intentional navigation, and the likelihood of non-natural origin. The stakes? Enormous. A single maneuver, timed just right, could align it with Earth's orbit or redirect it into deep space. Either would be significant. One implies targeted flyby, the other implies departure, like a probe completing a mission. A third option. It stops. Loeb calls this possibility the most terrifying, because an object that slows to remain in our vicinity isn't leaving. Despite silence from NASA, others are stepping up. Giant Magellan Telescope in Chile is now tracking 3I Atlas using adaptive optics. LOFAR Radio Telescope in the Netherlands is scanning for high-frequency pulse signatures. ESA's Euclid mission, designed for deep space dark matter studies, has adjusted part of its imaging array to watch the object's path. On the private side, the Galileo Project's Las Vegas array will begin 24-hour observations on December 16th. Multiple amateur observatories in Arizona and South Africa have coordinated for multi-angle parallax mapping. If the object changes shape, speed, or direction, someone will see it. The question is, will we be told? Let's entertain the most speculative idea gaining traction in scientific underground circles. What if 3I Atlas is not just observing? Some now propose it could be a seed device, a probe meant to monitor planetary systems and possibly initiate seeding or data transmission once intelligent life is detected. Think of it as the Rosetta Stone for interstellar species. Waits until a planet emits consistent radio leakage. Approaches via slow maneuver monitors rather than contacts, sends results back to a central node or mothership via unknown methods. And here's the wildest angle. Some theorists suggest it may already be communicating, but not with us. Instead, it may be bouncing messages via gravitational lensing, using the sun itself to relay signals back across light years. These signals wouldn't be visible to Earth's surface arrays, but deep space intercept telescopes might pick them up, which raises the final chilling question. Are we the first to find it, or the last? As calls grow for intercept missions, whether via Juno, Starship, or Earth-based launches, we're entering a moral grey zone. If this object is intelligent, or created by intelligence, do we have the right to approach, to scan, to land? Or should we watch from afar and allow it to complete whatever task it's here for? If we intercept and provoke a response, even passively, we might trigger consequences we don't understand. Yet, if we don't act, and the object leaves. We may never get another chance. This is the tension now gripping scientists, politicians, and thinkers alike. It's not just a scientific event, it's a civilizational crossroads. As we approach December 19th, here are the signs to watch. Sudden shift in trajectory, new object ejection, a possible satellite or drone, radio bursts at hydrogen line frequencies, fragmentation or shape change, active deceleration, infrared bloom without debris trail. If any one of these happens, the debate will end, and the mystery will only deepen. Because it means someone, or something, came here deliberately. So here we are, a fast, jetting, metal-rich object from beyond our solar system is passing within 39 million kilometers of Earth. It's doing things comets don't. It's moving in ways rocks can't. And the institutions we trust most aren't telling us what they see. But you're watching. We're watching. Together we're documenting the moment history might look back on as the day we stopped being alone, or at least the day we realised it. If you want to follow this story as it unfolds, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We're monitoring the delta day by day, and I'll release updates after December 19th as results come in. And now I want to know, what do you think 3I Atlas really is? Will it fragment, release probes, or change direction again? Leave your theory in the comments below. I read every one of them, and believe me, some of your insights have been ahead of the curve. Thank you for watching. And as always, the answer still lies in the vastness of the stars.